everyone, my name is Yuhu. I'm the founder and CEO of Kaito. For those of you who are not familiar with Kaito, Kaito is the search engine for crypto. So we started around about 2 years ago. The idea was simple. We wanted to index everything in crypto. So anything that's across Twitter, Discord, Medium, Mirror, Governance Forum, you name it. Anything that people read every day, we want to index it. So that's what we built. So over the 2 years, we built from the ground up a search engine for the space. And so we came out of the stealth around about 3 months ago, and now we are the most profitable AI application in crypto. Over the past 2 months or so, we've onboarded more than 200 institutions, ranging from liquid funds, VCs, traders, exchanges, as well as project teams. But one question that we ask ourselves always is, how do we scale this beyond crypto? So today, I'm going to talk about something else. Beyond Kaito, we're now building Kindex. This is something that we haven't publicly announced yet, so you guys are the first one to know this. Kindex is a decentralized indexing layer for the world's information. The motivation behind that is really, like I said, over the past 2 years, we built a search engine for crypto. But how do we really scale this beyond crypto is actually a very difficult challenge for us. We are crypto native people. We have the domain knowledge in the space. But actually, if tomorrow we need to be building a search engine in the biotechnology space, we have no idea how to build it because we don't have the domain knowledge. But chances are someone else in the world will have that. How good would it be if we build a decentralized indexing layer that crowdsources intelligence and allows people who have the domain knowledge to very easily build a search engine or recommendation system or anything that's, information retrieval system that they can leverage. And so that's kind of the whole notion is about. And to be able to do that, we need a decentralized indexing solution, and that's what we're going to be focused on today. And a bit of a context, indexing is extremely important to AI data. Generally speaking, there are two types of AI data. One type is a static data. You effectively use static data to train your model, but the other part is real-time data. And when it comes to real-time data, indexing becomes very, very key. So imagine a scenario that you ask ChatGPT, what happens to Betensa today? Or what happens to my shell today? ChatGPT could not answer that question because it doesn't have the real-time information. But as soon as it gets to real-time information, you need indexing because the model basically needs to understand what's relevant and then leverage its reasoning and summarization capability to then come up with an answer to answer your question. So indexing is very key to AI data. So then the next question is someone building that? We do have a lot of decentralized solutions, but currently there's no decentralized solution yet. What's interesting is over the past 6 to 12 months, there have been a lot of developments in the decentralized AI space. We have a lot of the new project teams, such as Grass, Near Tasks, and all the speakers that have talked about their projects today are all contributing in that particular domain. But so far, no one has built a decentralized indexing layer. So then the question is that really needed? Why do we need a decentralized indexing layer? So the 4 main benefits that relates to decentralized indexing. Number 1 is what I discussed in terms of if we build a decentralized indexing layer, we can essentially tap into crowdsourced intelligence, allow anyone who have the domain knowledge to essentially build indexing in that particular field. So this is infinitely scalable, leveraging common purpose as well as crowdsourced intelligence across humankind. That is number 1. And number 2 is also interesting because search indexing is uniquely positioned to be using only low-end compute. So we're not using any of the high-end compute, which is always supply constrained. But by leveraging underutilized low-end compute, you can actually make this much more efficient than running everything on the cloud. Number 3 is transparency. Transparency is very important. I think over the years, people have always seen, and this has always been, I think this has increasingly become a controversial topic in terms of how Google ranks their search results, whether people are including paid ads in the search ranking, all that kind of stuff. So in a world of decentralized indexing, you don't have anything related to opaque search ranking because everything is transparent. And number 4 is verification and data lineage. Essentially, everything can be traceable. These are the 4 main benefits of using decentralized indexing. Naturally, there are trade-offs. Most importantly, decentralization naturally has trade-offs. Naturally, you need to be validating all the results, and that's going to essentially lead to longer latency. You're also going to be having some of the redundant compute as well, which is generating more compute. That being said, the point earlier actually addresses this issue as well, because if all the computes that you use are primarily underutilized computes in the world, you are essentially facilitating the more efficient use of resources. So that is number 1 in terms of some of the trade-offs for decentralization. And the second trade-off is transparency. So obviously, when you open source, so in the decentralized indexing layer, because everyone contributes to indexing the world's information, then you have to open source your ranking algorithm. There's obviously pros and cons in terms of the process. For any centralized entity, this means more difficult to essentially capture value, but obviously the nature of decentralized indexing means this can be a crowdsourced, community-driven effort. So what are some of the example use cases? Number 1, I think that's very important and meaningful to the society. It provides a viable alternative versus building centralized indexing. So imagine if I go back 2 years ago when Kaito first started, if we had this solution, it would become a viable solution, a viable alternative versus what we're doing right now. And crowdsourcing actually allows the entire setup to be much quicker to bootstrap and much cheaper to maintain. Cloud computing cost is one of the most expensive part of the process, and once that becomes decentralized, everyone is essentially contributing to that process, and it becomes much cheaper to run. So number 2 is use cases that favor crypto-native solutions. What does that mean? Actually, on top of the network that we're planning right now, we are also planning to be building a flagship application on top of that. That is, people can imagine that to be a decentralized dome for information. Anyone can essentially come to the network and build a dashboard for anything that you are interested in. Let's say, for example, if you're interested in following all the stuff on Ethena, if you're interested in following any stuff on decentralized AI, anyone can essentially build a dashboard, and the entire network is going to contribute to that decentralized indexing to allow this network to be running. So number 2 is there are use cases within crypto-native space for this to exist. And number 3 is there is a long tail of community-driven interest groups. And usually these groups are lacking the very, very clear commercial angles, but then the ton of community people who are willing to contribute and are willing to come together and then build either search engine recognition system or anything that's essentially helping the community together. So this is essentially providing a solution for all of these community interest groups around the world beyond crypto for that to happen. And number 4 is data that requires verification and lineage. Essentially anything that requires verification as well as source tracing, because everything can be linked on the blockchain, it becomes a very, very easy process to essentially verify everything, especially when it comes to embedding. So for example, if I write an article and then if you've done embedding on top of my article, then essentially my source is lost. But once you do this, once you build all the indexing on the blockchain and verifies all of this, you can essentially link everything together, even if this piece of information is essentially being embedded 5 times. So it's very, very easy to kind of verify and link together. So that's all for today. If you are interested in, please come and grab me and talk to me. Thank you.